Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today for our CAS and Visa support. So welcome from sunny Glasgow, or good morning or evening, depending on where you're joining us from the world, and welcome to our session today. My name's Pauline Truscott-Hughes, and I'm from the Directorate of Future Students at Glasgow Caledonian, and I'm your host for today's webinar. So in this session today, as advertised, you'll hear from our CAS and Visa team, who will talk to you about what they do and how they support you on your journey to come into GCU, also and once you get here as a student. Before we begin the webinar, just a couple of housekeeping notes. All microphones and cameras from your end as a guest are disabled during the session, just to ensure a smooth experience for everyone. And if you've got any questions at any point, please pop them in the chat box, which you should see at the right-hand side of your screen. We'll be answering them as we go along, and will also be a time if anybody, again, wants to ask questions at the end. Just also to let you know that today's session has been recorded, and it will be available on the GCU YouTube page within the next week, and where you'll be able to watch it back or share it with others. So now on to the good part. I'm pleased to introduce today's presenters. We have Helen Howe, who is a visa advisor and part of the visa team at GCU. And we have Elaine Dorian, who is an admissions manager for CAS, as part of the admissions team at GCU as well. And Helen's going to present first, and I'll hand over to Helen now to start her presentation.
Thank you very much, Pauline, for a lovely introduction. And hello everyone, my name is Helen. I'm a visa advisor here at Glasgow Caledonian University. Hope you can all hear me okay. As Pauline said, if you have any questions, please do use the chat function, and we'll try to get to those when we can. I'm going to go through just a few slides with you today, covering what the visa team does and how we can support you on your journey to GCU and during your studies also. So who are we? So we're a team of immigration specialist advisors, officers and compliance officers, and we're responsible for student visa holders, both pre-enrolment and post-enrolment. We also offer advice on other visa types. And we have a role in ensuring that the university remains compliant at all times with our UKVI requirements and regulations, as well as supporting our students and ensuring that they do the same, that they do not breach the conditions of their visa or study. So ultimately here to ensure compliance and to support you. We offer support through various ways, mainly via email. We also take calls and offer drop-in sessions on campus. Drop-in sessions are available to applicants as well as to current students. So if you happen to already be in the Glasgow area, feel free to pop along to a drop-in session. We also offer advice to graduates as well. So once your studies have ended with us, you'll get some ongoing support. We do specialise in advice relating to the student visa route. Most of our international students coming to the UK do require a student visa. So that is the main route we advise on. But we do also offer advice on other visa areas, for example, post-study work options like the graduate route visa, and study on other visa types, for example, a dependent visa. Although we are limited in the level of tailored advice that we can offer on routes that we don't sponsor under, like the student visa route, we're still happy to assist you with general advice and inquiries in those areas. And we also work closely with almost all other departments across the university, including academic and programme staff, to ensure that students get the best support during their time with us. And really, we're a main point of contact for you as an international student or applicant with the university. If you have a question, you can ask us, and if we don't know it, we'll always know where to direct you. So there's a couple ways you can access our services. We do want to invite you to visit our website, gcu.ac.uk/visa. Most of our resources are available online, and that includes bespoke advice on your student visa application process, frequently asked questions for new international students, so that one might be particularly pertinent to you. Information on post-study work options, information on studying on a standard visitor visa, for example, if you're coming for an exchange, as well as your visa conditions, for example, working permissions in the UK. So those topics and more can be found on our website, so we would encourage you to give that a visit. Now, we have posted here some of perhaps the most common inquiries that you may have relating to your visa ahead of your study at the university. Now, I might not speak too much around here because Elaine will be covering some of this in her section, but I wanted to touch on the most common queries that we get, and this is relating to the student visa. So as mentioned earlier, most international students coming from overseas to study a full-time course will need a student visa. The student visa currently costs £558, and that's Great British Pounds, GBP. So bear in mind, you'll need to convert that to your own currency. And you'd also need to pay the Immigration Health Surcharge, also known as IHS. And that currently costs £776 per year for a student visa. The exact total of your Immigration Health Surcharge will depend on the length of your visa and will be calculated at the point of application. How long will your visa last? So if you're granted a student visa, that would always run until 4 months after the end date of your course. That final 4 months is known as your visa wrap-up period that allows you, after your studies, for example, to look for work or to apply for another visa. If you're curious what your course end date is going to be, you can check your CAS once that's issued from admissions. So how do you apply for your visa? It's all done online. Once you receive your CAS from admissions, you will go online to apply for your visa directly on the gov.uk website. And you'll then have to attend an appointment at your nearest visa application centre to provide your documents. And speaking of documents, the documents you'll need will depend entirely on your circumstances. But to give you an idea of what you'll most definitely need, that all students will need, are your passport, your CAS from admissions, and evidence that you meet the UKVI financial requirement, which includes evidence of funds for living costs, as well as remaining tuition fees. When you submit your visa application to the UKVI, they will give you a document checklist confirming all of the documents that you need. So this slide covers the current UKVI financial requirement for self-funded students. I believe Elaine may cover this, so I'll just touch on a few points here. You do need to have enough money to pay for your course for 1 academic year, up to 9 months. And you'll need to show that you've had the funds for at least 28 days in a row, and also be within 31 days of the day you apply for your visa. And the amount of money you need to show does depend on whether you'll be studying at our Glasgow campus or our London campus, and that's due to the higher cost.
Oh, I think Helen's Wi-Fi's just dipped out for a second. We'll just give her a second and see if she'll maybe come back on again, and if not, we'll switch to Elaine and she can pick up when she comes back. Just give her a few seconds, see what happens. Okay, Aileen, will I just switch to your presentation now?
Yeah, that's fine. I think some of the things we were going to cover anyway within my presentation. So
Okay, that's fine. Okay, over to Elaine.
Okay, so my name is Elaine and I am the admissions manager for CAS at GCU, and it's lovely to get to speak with you all today. My presentation will hopefully quickly go over the main I guess CAS processes at GCU, and really going to focus on what you can do to prepare for this part of your process. So you will start interacting with the CAS team once you have paid your deposit. So once you have your unconditional offer and you've paid your deposit, oh, sorry, don't know why. Oh, did the presentation go there?
I'll bring it back here. I don't know what's happened there.
Sorry. Okay, we'll start again. We're having a few wee hiccups today. So you will start
a sneak preview of all your slides there.
Okay, I'll just go back to the start. So you will start interacting with the CAS team when you have your unconditional offer and you've paid your deposit. So I'm going to just quickly take you in a whistle-stop tour through all the parts of the process. So as confirmed, you have a deposit to pay as an international student, and the deposit for September 2026 is £7,000. And the deadline to pay this, for GCU to receive this, is the 10th of July. We do have a really useful page, our application deadline page, where we list all of our application deadlines, and I reference that further on in the presentation, but that's where that date is. It'll also be linked to your offer letter as well, just in case you can't remember the date. But yeah, so you start the process by paying your deposit. Kind of the overview part of the process is we would then next send you a CAS data check. This is sent to applicants prior to issuing the CAS, and that's really for applicants to confirm the accuracy of the details in the CAS data check, such as like your name, your nationality, your passport number, all information that's going to be absolutely crucial for when you make that visa application. As part of the CAS data check, we do ask a number of questions, mostly around kind of your previous immigration history and visa refusals. And at that time, this is when we would request your financial documents. Kind of simultaneously, while we go through the CAS data check process, if you are required, we will ask you to attend a pre-CAS interview. So GCU now pre-CAS interview majority of our applicants, and that is really because UKVI now interview as part of the visa application process, and we really want our applicants to be prepared as they possibly can be. So if you're required to be interviewed as part of the CAS process, you will normally receive an invitation around 5 working days after we have confirmed your deposit. And you'll be provided a time and a link to join an MS Team interview with one of our team. You are provided one opportunity to pass your pre-CAS interview. So it's really important that you are prepared for your pre-CAS interview. And even jumping ahead, even if you are successful at our pre-CAS interview, it's really important that you continue to prepare for your UKVI interview. So once applicants have confirmed that their CAS data check is accurate, they've answered all the CAS data check questions in the email, they've provided all additional documents, such as their financial documents, police checks, any additional documents we've asked for, and they've completed their pre-CAS interview successfully. This is when we would then send a final CAS. It's important to highlight now as well is that due to ensure that you're not caught up with any visa delays, that you make your application maximum 5 days after receiving your CAS. But what I've noted here in the presentation is that UKVI, as part of their kind of get ready for your application process campaign, they actually confirm 24 hours. So to take away from there, while we are preparing your CAS, you should really be ready to make your visa application within 24 hours. So I just want to now do a bit of a deep dive into a few key points within the CAS process. So obviously that was a very quick overview of all the different points. So our pre-CAS interview process, as I've already mentioned, prepares you for undertaking your credibility interview. Your pre-CAS interview is also an opportunity for you to show that you're a genuine student, that you're knowledgeable about the course you've applied for, and that you have undertook adequate research. It really is an opportunity for you to tell us your kind of personal story and the steps that you have taken to getting to this particular point, and all the research and decisions you've made until that time. So the pre-CAS interview is, as I mentioned, is conducted by one of the GCU admissions staff. It roughly lasts about 20 to 30 minutes. You must attend at the scheduled time, ensure you have a stable internet connection, and ensure your camera is working and you bring identification as instructed. And this should be treated similar to an employment interview. So you should be professional on the call and ensure you have a quiet place to undertake the interview. And importantly, no one should be in the room while you undertake the interview. How you prepare for your interview, this kind of next couple of slides will provide you some of that information. But really, there's no trick questions within the interview. We are really going to be asking you about your decisions about your study choices, why the UK, why GCU, why the particular course or subject that you've chosen. So in terms of your course, you will be likely asked questions about your specific course content, including modules that you may study. You will also be asked questions around relevant areas of specialisation. So be sure to recap on course information from GCU, from both the website and also from the specification document that you can actually download from our website from your programme page. In terms of GCU, you should be prepared to explain your journey to choosing GCU as the right university for you, which might include how you found out about GCU, how you undertook your research into GCU, maybe what other universities you considered alongside GCU. Obviously, there's a lot of universities in the UK. And then perhaps be able to tell us, well, why did GCU really stand out against these other universities? You should remember to be detailed around your reasons for choosing GCU and avoid using just general vague statements that could be used to describe any university. So think about things about, like specialist facilities, specialist curriculum, accreditations, specific support that GCU offer, student associations, and any university resources that you have learned about while you've been undertaking your research. Similar to the UK, you should expect to be able to discuss your reasons for choosing the UK over other destinations, be it your home country or other English-speaking countries. And again, similar, you should be able to speak specifically about why the UK was the correct choice for you. In terms of your plans after your studies, you should expect to discuss your plans, including your work plans, the type of role you may be interested in, and how your qualification will align with that and how it will actually benefit you in achieving these kind of future career aspirations. You will be asked some questions around your funds. We'll expect you to be able to tell us how much funding that you're required in your accounts to show to GCU, and will also require you to discuss your source of funds and who is sponsoring you, be it your own savings, your mother, your father, family, etc. And we'll also expect you to discuss your previous education and employment and how these tie into your chosen long-term career goals. So just to kind of recap on our pre-CAS interview tips, make sure you understand what you will study. Be clear on your motivations. Why this subject? Why this university? Why the UK? And how does this connect to your career goals? Be clear on the educational benefits of studying in the UK to achieving your goals compared to undertaking your studies in another country, be it your home country or another English-speaking country. Avoid memorised or scripted answers and try not read directly from your notes. You should be able to speak naturally. Referring to notes is fine, but it shouldn't feel like we are reading from a script. Avoid giving vague or generic answers. Provide specific reasons to all your answers where possible. And avoid giving inconsistent answers or information that conflicts with your application or CAS documents. So ensure your answers are honest and consistent throughout the interview. And again, I guess finally, like take it seriously and prepare properly and attend on time. So that kind of covers the pre-CAS interview, a kind of more of a deep dive into what to expect and how to prepare for that. The next section of the presentation I thought is most useful and where we get the most questions is about timeline and important dates and when you will hear from us. So as I've mentioned, the deposit deadline is the 10th of July for this year. Your pre-CAS interview, if you are being required to attend an interview, you will normally be provided a date within 5 days of GCU confirming your deposits being received. Normally from the deposit being received, you would receive your CDC within 2 weeks if CDC and CAS issuing has started. So for any applicants that have paid January, February, March, April, there might be a few on the call, CAS and CDC issuing doesn't start till May, so obviously that timeline can't be reflected in your application. But from May, we will start be sending CDCs and CAS. But in a normal, anyone that's paying from May onwards, you should be able to. You should receive your CAS. Sorry, you should receive your CAS data check within 2 weeks of paying your deposit. An important deadline I think that will be key for this year is our financial document deadline. So majority of applicants are required to provide us with financial documents, and the next couple of slides go into this. And if you are asked to submit your financial documents, these need to be ready to submit no later than the 24th of July. So you have to start preparing these by mid to end of June to meet that deadline. So that's quite key, and that's not far off for many. Mid-June will come closer to us than we would probably like. So please be aware of that timeline. So the deadline's the 24th of July, but it takes a whole month to prepare for your FinDocs. So that really takes us to mid-June, end of June, really. And then from when an applicant providing us all the information that we need, we always turn our CAS around within 5 working days. And just a note here that our CAS issuing deadline for September is the 31st of July for this year. That is when we are hoping to be able to send all our CAS by. So just to touch on financial documents, so my colleague Helen had started on this, so I will pick this up within this part of the presentation. So UKVI will confirm the list of countries required to provide financial documents as part of their visa application to show that applicants can support themselves financially if they're successful in getting a visa. The evidence must show applicants have enough money to pay for the course for 1 academic year, and they've got enough money to support themselves in the UK for up to 9 months. So depending if you're coming to our London campus or our Glasgow campus, there is 2 different amounts that you need to show. So studying outside London, for our Glasgow campus, you need to show £10,539 for the maintenance and then your tuition fee remaining on top of that. For studying at our London campus, you have to show £13,761 for maintenance and your remaining tuition fee on top of that. A couple of key things on financial documents so that you are prepared and ready to submit these. So applicants must hold the required amount in their account for at least 28 consecutive days, and the balance cannot drop below the required amount at any time during that time, or the clock restarts. So it's really important by mid-June that you have all the money in the account to meet that maintenance amount, and that you hold that amount from the end of July to the 24th of the end of June to the 24th of July. Applicants must provide a recent bank statement. So the end date of the 28-day period must be within the 31 days of the date you apply for your visa. The account must either be in the applicant's name, it can be a joint account or a parent legal guardian, and must be an account that allows your immediate access to the funds. You will be notified once you pay your deposit if GC require to see a copy of your financial documents. And within this presentation, I have provided you the link to the government website, which is www.gov.uk/student-visa/money, which provides you with a lot more detail into exactly the requirements that UKVI require to meet your financial documents. It's worth highlighting at this stage the financial documents that GCU do not accept. And if you were planning to use one of these banks or one of these account types, that you now move your money now and start preparing for this. So mainly due to receiving visa refusals because of verification of these banks, we are not able to accept any of these banks from Pakistan. But additionally to that, and this is not just for Pakistan, this is for many nationals, we cannot accept any funds held in a microfinance bank or a microfinance account. So if you find yourself that is a bank that you use, you would need to open a new account and transfer the money there to meet the 28 days and meet the 24th of July deadline. Some information on the dates that are presented to you at your CAS data check stage and also at the CAS stage. So your CAS confirms to you a start date and the latest start date. And this is just giving you a little update because we get quite a lot of questions on this, because sometimes the start date won't align perfectly with the start date that is on your offer letter. And that is because the start date on the CAS takes into consideration the induction week and international orientation week. So the start date on the CAS is the date the applicant should aim to arrive in the UK and be on campus for, to ensure you've got enough time to settle into campus before your studies start. Ensure that you can attend the international welcome and university induction, which is really key for international students, and to ensure that you are there and present for the first week of teaching. The latest date a student can be accepted onto the course, which is on your CAS as the latest date of enrolment, is the date that all students have to physically be in the UK, physically be on campus and have fully registered by. So this date isn't just the date that you can travel to the UK by. So again, any questions on that when you get nearer to the time, you can obviously contact the CAS team, but I just thought I would highlight that because it's a question we get asked quite a lot. Particularly the start date and and how that links to the start date on their offer letter. So top tips to prepare for the CAS process at GCU, and this is things that you can be doing now, even if you have not paid your deposit yet, or you haven't, you maybe just still applying through and waiting for an outcome on your application. So ensure a valid or the most up-to-date passport is available on your applicant portal. Ensure all visa refusal documentations, so including visit visa refusals, including even if it's not in relation to the UK, but even if it's the US, Canada, or another country, please make sure that's also uploaded to your portal in your documents section. Please start preparing your financial documents and any other required documents, be that your ATAS, your police check, your TB certificate. Be visa application ready. So you should be ready to provide your TB certificate if required. You should have your immigration health surcharge payment ready, as well as your visa application payment. As I mentioned, when we release your CAS, you will need to make that visa application within a very tight turnaround time. So you should be ready to do that. And while we are preparing your CAS, please familiarise yourself with the visa student application process and requirements. Again, we have lots of information on our website that I have linked here, but the UKVI have really useful pages as well so that you can familiarise yourself on what to expect. In terms of preparing for your visa application, please ensure your visa application is made no later than 5 working days from receiving your CAS, and you are required to provide proof to GCU that you have made that application within the timeline. Ensure the exchange rate is checked on the day the visa application is made. So although GCU will ask for a copy of the financial documents you're going to submit, there could be 5 days difference between us checking it and you actually making an application, and exchange rates can change within that time. So you have a requirement to check the exchange rate on the day that you make your visa application. And if there's any changes or you don't think that the documents now meet the requirements, you would get back in contact with the CAS team. Prepare for a credibility interview. So it's highly likely that applicants will be invited for an interview as part of their visa application. So even if you're not required to attend a pre-CAS interview with GCU, it doesn't mean that you won't be selected to go for an interview with UKVI. So all applicants should be prepared to do this. And the GCU visa team have really a brilliant video on how to prepare and lots of useful tips on their website. So again, I have linked that into the presentation here. Another key tip is really to check your emails daily, the email that you've used on your visa application, as it is not uncommon for UKVI to reach out to you to ask for, mainly they ask for additional documents in terms of your FinDocs, or they'll ask you for additional documents in terms of what you've been doing since you've graduated, if you have a bit of a study gap. So you can contact GCU CAS team if you are contacted by UKVI, if you're looking for some advice, but be aware that you have got a very tight turnaround to provide this information to UKVI. And while you are preparing that information, your application is put on hold. So be aware that you do have to respond to UKVI within the 10 days that they give you to respond. And I guess just generally keep the CAS team up to date with your visa application. So if you have been contacted about a credibility interview with UKVI, drop us a message and let us know. And we can kind of record that on your record and follow your application through with you. So yeah, that's our kind of top tips in terms of when you get to the actual visa application part. So the last point just to end is just to say that this is our contact details. And if you have any questions on anything we've spoke about today, please do get in contact. But you can contact the CAS team about anything in regards to from paying your deposit up to actually arriving on campus and registering. So hopefully that was helpful for you today.
Thanks, Elaine. Thank you for taking the time out to do that for us, and for Helen as well. Helen's had connection issues, so she's dropped off the call, but if you've got any questions, I'm sure Elaine will be able to answer on Helen's behalf. I can see there's a couple of questions in the chat. Elaine, one is somebody who is asking, I just want to know what factors can prevent a person from getting a refund of his or her deposit?
Okay, so great question. So on the offer letter that you have got, you will see that deposits are non-refundable, and there is a link to the fees and refund policy, which provides you every iteration of where a refund would be given and when a refund would not be given. So my advice to you is to go to our fees and refund policy, but probably I may be making an assumption here, but quite a lot of our questions are normally around pre-CAS interview. And if you fail your pre-CAS interview with GCU, do you get a refund? And the answer is yes. You would receive a refund of your deposit, and an admin fee is retained for that, which is standard. But yeah, I would go and visit the fees and refund policy, and you can see all the different scenarios where a refund is given normally and when a refund is not given normally.
Okay, there is another question. Someone is asking, are the deadlines the same for September and January start dates?
No, they're not, and apologies, I guess I didn't take that into consideration. I have went heavy with September deadlines. So I referenced in the webinar about our application deadline page that I can link here. I would go to our GCU application deadline page, and you will see both September and January deadlines. Although I'm pausing there because I'm just trying to think now if January deadlines are up yet. If they're not, they will be shortly. But no, the deadlines that I have spoke about today are purely for September 2026.
Okay, for the person who's asking if they can get a copy of this webinar, yes, they will. This is being recorded, so we will be sharing a copy with everybody who attended the webinar today. So we will email that out to you with a link to it. We just have to do some things to get it onto YouTube and some subtitles done, etc. But yeah, within the next week, we'll have that for you. Someone else is thanking you, Elaine, for an informative presentation. That's nice. Please, does the deposit apply to students on scholarship from their government?
So if you have a scholarship from your government, please provide us with the letter as soon as possible, as there's a few verification stages. GCU, we need to make sure it's a part of the national government, and it can't be like a state or state government agency. So yeah, we do accept sponsorships from government, and if it's an acceptable sponsor, then normally a deposit's not required. But I would provide us with the information, even if you don't have your full letter yet, of the I guess the type of scholarship that you're referring to, so we can make sure that it's actually acceptable by GCU.
There's another one saying, does it apply to all universities in the UK or only GCU? I'm not sure what they're meaning. What apply? What do you understand from that, Elaine?
Maybe could it be pre-CAS interviews? So pre-CAS interviews is something that GCU do as part of our CAS process. Financial documents is something that all universities, I believe, check, and it's a requirement to do your visa. Or is it maybe about your visa application being made? That is quite a specific thing to GCU, but like I said, UKVI actually confirmed 24 hours, but we are saying within 5 days. But maybe, I think that might be referring to pre-CAS interviews, which is something particular just for GCU, but like I said, UKVI do credibility interviews, everyone, regardless if you're applying to GCU or any other universities. That's not specific to GCU, if that helps.
Okay, someone's asking, saying you mentioned we will get CDCs within 2 weeks of paying our deposit, and then we will receive CAS within 5 days, and we are to apply to the UKVI 5 days after we receive our CAS. Am I correct? I think they just want clarification on that kind of timeline.
Yes. Yeah, I think you will receive your CAS once we have received all the documents and done all the steps. So once we get that the final part, CAS is issued within 5 days, and yeah, your visa application within 5 days. So yeah, you've got that correct. Obviously, at quieter times, turnaround times can be quicker than that, and it all really depends on how prepared the applicant is. So if you have your financial documents ready, if you've done your pre-CAS interview, etc., we normally can turn things around quicker. But yeah, I guess in a nutshell, that's a very good overview of what I've said. So yes, you are accurate in what you've said.
Okay, someone's asking particularly about their case, which I don't think we can really talk about individual cases on this webinar. If you're saying they've passed their pre-CAS interview and they're yet to hear back from their caseworker after 10 days, I would say email the CAS team asking for an update, and someone will get back to you with your individual case update.
Yeah, I think on that one as well, just to mention, I did say that we haven't started CDC or CAS issuing until May. I think all the columns all say mid-May. So although we started pre-CAS interviewing, like I said, that timeline only kicks in once we've actually started the process. So people who have been early, thank you, but we're not quite at the stage yet of doing CDCs or CAS, and that will start into May. So by mid-May, you will start to receive your CDCs. But yeah, as Pauline said, please do contact us.
Here's a question here. Is the UKVI, and they've added interview, and the next one, is the UKVI interview mandatory for all potential GCU students?
So The UKVI credibility interview isn't something just for GCU students, it's for all students. And it is mandatory. If you have been asked by UKVI to attend an interview, you would be contacted via email. And if they've contacted you, you need to attend. If for whatever reason you have a family emergency or something happens and you can't attend, you have to contact them on the email that they have sent the link or the invitation to the interview to tell them that you can't attend. Because actually not attending an interview can lead to a visa refusal on your immigration history, which we would never want. So the UKVI interviewing applicants isn't specific to GCU, and the UKVI interview, I would say, majority of applicants coming to the UK from all different universities.
Okay. Person who shared their email, we will, Elaine will look into that after this webinar. Any more questions? Okay, I think that's us. Once again, Elaine, thank you very much for your time, and thank you everybody for your time in joining this session. Just a reminder that it will be available, the session on YouTube in the coming week, if you want to revisit any of the content. We've also got another day of online sessions tomorrow, so check in on our website. We've got a whole list of course sessions and other support sessions running, so you're welcome to join any of them. And we hope you found today's session useful and helpful, and we look forward to hopefully welcoming you in person to GCU, whether it be Glasgow or London in the future. Thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.